All right, good morning, everybody. Sorry this video is a little late, but we're going to get some videos out today. This first one's going to be on enemy health bars. So, and just because we're setting it up as an enemy health bar for this, doesn't mean you can't set this up as a player health bar. But we're going to specifically focus on this as the enemy health bar, and then we're going to in a later video, I'm not sure, sometime in the next week, I'm going to be putting out a UI video, kind of going over all the portions of that. So then we'll add in kind of a place bar, or a player health bar in that video. So for this one, once again, we're going to do the enemy health bar. I'm just going to use our sample scene that we've been using and building parts of this project off of. And so from this, I did notice we want to go in, because we've changed the bullet prefab so many times. Well, actually, probably shouldn't even do it now, but we're going to just add the bullet prefab back onto the player controller because it's currently not there. And so what we're going to do in this is, I'm just going to save it, play it, and just show you what we're going to do. So we'll make it now where you pick up the gun, and then when you come up to the target, it's going to have a health bar on the top of it. And so multiple shots to kill it instead of just a... I grabbed the wrong controller. Instead of just a single shot to kill it. So that is what we're going to be working on for this. And then I just realized the other one, while I wasn't shooting, we will need to also, because we dealt with the bullet, and we're using our object pool, we need to add that bullet here to the object pool. So now we should be able to shoot effectively. Let's make sure it's working before we go on too far. We're shooting and it kills it. Okay, perfect. So now we're going to want to start off by increasing the hit points of the enemy, which in this case is just going to be our enemy target. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have so many scripts. Let me just see if we've got one we can add on to it. We don't have. So we're going to create a new script for this, new C# script. We'll call it enemy health controller. We can drag this immediately onto our military target, which is what we're using. It's still loading. It's still thinking, hey, let's make a script. Perfect. Now it should be good. Now we can drag that over just like that. All right, let's go ahead and double click to open it up. And what we obviously want to start with is having we're going to make it a private integer. We'll get the data otherwise. Private integer, and we'll just call it enemy health. And let's just set it to 20. So it's going to take 20 hits to kill this. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and lower that, because otherwise I'm going to have to bring in another gun, which isn't hard to do, but we don't need to go over it. So we're going to go enemy health is we're just going to leave it as enemy health is 5. I think we can get everything shown through that. Obviously, you'll play with the numbers on this depending upon what you're doing for your enemy health. But that at least gives us the start. We'll save it. The enemy has 5 health. So let's go ahead at this point. And what I want to do is create a bar on the enemy that is going to change, obviously shrink as the health shrinks, change color as the health decreases, and always faces the player so we can always see that whether we're shooting from the straight on or from one of the sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create, let's create a new canvas. So we're going to create a UI. I don't know if this will throw it in there or not. I'm hoping not. We want to create an image. So the image is what we're going to use. All right, it's just going to give us another one, but that's fine. Let's see. Actually, we're going to want this not in this canvas because the canvas here is where we can set up. This is set up as a screen space overlay. That's where we get all of our stuff here, right? So this is going to show up. We create this as a screen overlay, and then that just goes over a screen. But we're not going to want this as a screen overlay, right? Because otherwise the health bar would follow us around. So we're going to go ahead and delete that image from that. And actually, let's go ahead and create a new, because I couldn't see it the first time, didn't look down far enough. We want to create a new canvas. And then we'll just call this enemy health canvas. Because all this will just deal with enemy health. All right. And so then into the enemy health canvas, we're going to go ahead and add a UI element image. That's where we're going to go with this. So let's jump into that. And so what we want to do with this, like I said, we don't want it in this screen space, right? We want to go ahead and switch this to world space. And so what that's going to do is allow us to shrink this and put it right where we want to put it. And so we can shrink this through our width. We can scroll it if we want. We're probably going to go, let's play with a couple of numbers. I'm going to say probably a height of about 5 and a width of about 10. We're going to drag this down. The image is going to be the same. So we click on image, 10 and 5. And then actually let's change this while we're here. We'll change the name of image to health bar, because that's what it's going to become. And we'll just double click on it. That's going to take us closer to where it is. You can see it here. We're going to do some more modifications. We'll move the whole canvas for a moment. A little closer to it. All right, and then we're going to move this back. It is way too big. But we're going to go ahead then and keep shrinking it down. Let's make the width 5 and the height 1. Let's see what that does. All right, that's at least looking better. We're gonna move the whole thing back some more. All right, that's still huge, but at least now you can see it's pretty much, we're going to move it up just a little bit, kind of get it right above what in this case our enemy is going to be, which is just the target. And then yeah, that's still really big. So let's go ahead and shrink our canvas. We'll get the height dialed in first, about 0.2. Let's go like 0.3. I think that is a little easier to see from distance. All right, and then once again, this is still really long. So let's go ahead and shrink this down to 1. See how small that is. It's probably gonna be a little too small. Yeah, maybe we'll increase this. Nah, we'll just leave it 1. That's probably good enough. And then we're just going to drop this down a little bit to once again just get it right above it. Okay. So that's going to be the start of our health bar. That gives us the ability to have something that's going to get smaller as we go and change color, which is great. All right. And once again, it's in world space, so we don't have to worry about it going everywhere. If we play it right now, right, we rotate, it just stays there, right? Unlike the zeros that we have, which is measuring bullets, shots, and hit percentage, this is giving us all that we need. Okay, so now we need to tie it to taking some damage. So what we want to do at this point is we want to, all right, we want to go ahead and make sure that we add our camera to the camera. So we're going to open up our player where the camera is. We're going to attach the main camera to that, so make sure that we're rendering correctly or showing the UI facets. And then on our health bar, we want to set the anchors. So if you click here on this target looking or scope looking thing, we want to make sure that we select left middle. And that sets the anchor point. So you can see here where now this is in left middle. If we wanted to go, hold on just a second, sorry about this. Okay, sorry about that. We want to, as you can see here, it's setting that anchor point, right? So if we wanted the anchor point to go the other way, we click there and you can see this little X here showing where that anchor point is. So depending upon how you want to do this, right, you can move that anchor point wherever. It always, for the most part, defaults here to the center. You could do a stretching version where it's going to stretch to either side, which is definitely a look if you want to go with it. That's perfectly fine. I personally just like seeing it decrease to the left as enemies take health, but I have seen many instances where that stretching is then kind of collapsing in the center. So feel free to play with that if you wish. Once again, for this one, we're just going to set it to the middle left, and our health bar, as it gets more damage is taken to the target, it's going to shrink to the left. And so from there, what we want to do, we're good with that. We want to make sure that our X pivot value is 0. So then that once again lines us up here on the side. All right. And then we want to remove this as a raycast target. So on the image, we just don't want it to be a raycast. I could imagine a couple situations where you would want it there, but those would be few and far between. This is really going to be shooting for this, because otherwise that would then, if you shot a raycast and it hit this, it would return this as a UI image rather than passing through. So once again, I can imagine a few cases where this would be important, especially from some form of accessibility nature, or being able to kind of see what's in the scene. But once again, that's for the most part going to get in the way. So we're just going to leave that as non raycast, and then we can also we'll just also turn off maskable. It doesn't need to be either of those. So we're going to turn those off for right now. All right. And now what we want to do is we're going to create the code that's going to play with the health bar. So let's get started on that. All right, so we're going to attach this code just onto our enemy health controller. Um, so once again, we've set up in our enemy health controller, which I realize I might not have shown you this because it's on my other screen. The problem of having too many screens is forgetting to move stuff. So once again, we created the enemy health controller script. We want to add to it the private int enemy health. We're setting it to 5 for this. We want to state also, we can do it in a private float, the maximum health bar length. Max, what is it called? Max health. Oops, not health bar length. And we're going to set that to 1 to equal what we set. Slide this over just a little bit. What we set as our width here at 1. So we're going to set that the same there. We're not going to do anything with height because that's what we need or don't need. We have enemy health here, which is great, which is going to count for our current health. We do want a private float health percentage. Actually, we're going to want. So enemy health starts at 5. We want a private int enemy starting health. That way we can change it here easier. We don't have to do so much code if we need to later. But we're going to also set that to 5. Actually, we can do that. We're going to do that in the code. That way, we only would ever have to change the enemy health equals 5. And so then we've got a health percentage. And then we need to do a private float. One last one. We're going to call this the current health bar length. So this is going to have all the measurements in there that we need to activate the changing of the size of our health bar. The final piece that we need is a private, we're going to call this rect transform. We're going to be, the reason we're doing a rect transform, if you look here on our canvas, we have a rect transform, which actually is going to be here as well, rect transform. So that's what we are going to be modifying. And so just set this to 0. It's not, it was basically 0. We're just setting it fully 100% to 0. Let me bring this back up. All right, and rect transform, we're going to call that RT for, don't need caps lock on, RT there for the private rect transform. Okay, so in our start, we're going to say RT is equal to get component rect transform. Now we don't have to type get component in again. And then we're going to enemy starting health is equal to enemy health. So eventually enemy health here could become, just set it up that way, why not? Let's set up as a serialized field, which I probably did not capitalize correctly. I did not. Okay, so let's set that up as a serialized field. So then, right, so if we wanted to go in, we can change this without coming back into the code, just in our Unity inspector, right, and then change this to whatever health we want it to be, 1,000,000, 5, -2, like whatever it is, right? And then immediately our enemy starting health is automatically calculated for there. This could also eventually become a random variable. So if you want your enemies to have different health pools, you could create that, and then it automatically would set that maximum starting health. And then we're going to, because we're at full health, so we're going to eventually change the colors, right? So as you take damage, not only is it going to shrink, but we're also going to change the color of them. And so what we're going to want to do, the way I personally like to see it, we're going to do get components. The component is going to be image. Actually, we want to, this is going on the player, so we're going to want to, real quick, we want a serialized field here, private, image. Health image, health bar image. And we don't have the access to that yet because we need to add a using Unity engine .ui. And now that gives us that. So now what we're going to do actually is we want this RT to actually be a health bar image. I forgot what I was attaching this to. So we want this to be our health bar image. Is going to get the direct transform from that, and then we'll do yeah, we'll set the same thing as health bar image dot get component image, oops, image color equals color. Right, so most health bars start off as green when they're full health or majority of health. So we're going to do the same thing here. And so what we're going to add in, right, so to do any of this, we have to be able to change the enemy's health. And so that is coming through the bullet collider, which we'll play with here in a minute. Code, but so we're going to send from the bullet collider to here. So we need to have a public void because we're just passing in damage. Change health. Or, you know, well, let's just public void. We're going to have this be change health. That way, if we ever want to put something in where there's a way for them to heal, then we can just automatically call this function whether it's a positive or negative. And so to do that, what we're going to do with this is also we're going to pass in a float, and we'll just call it health. We'll just call it H for health. Doesn't matter. All right. Now that we have this coming in, we obviously want to have enemy health. You know, actually, for this, we're just going to make this negative. Because I guess we could always pass in a negative. Here, let's try that. Let's see what happens. We're going to play. I haven't tried this before. So we're going to do enemy health minus equals health. Or plus equals health. So we're going to actually need to pass in full value. So we're going to change the integer. That's perfectly fine. Yep, got to match. So we could do it another way, but we're never going to probably pass in a like 0.2 damage. So we'll just leave that as an integer. And we're going to try passing this in as a negative value. Interested to see how that works. And so when we change the health, we're going to need to modify everything else, right? So we're going to look and see what the health percentage is equal to the enemy health. Well, this might be where we have an issue with our float. We'll see. Enemy health divided by our enemy starting health. And then we're going to have our current health bar length equal to the max health bar length times our health percentage. Right? So what we're doing, we're getting the health, we're passing in, and we'll verify this works, we're passing in this case it's going to be a negative, it could then be a positive if it were healing. Then we're going to verify that our health percentage is our current health, so enemy health minus the starting health, and then we get our bar length by taking that percentage and multiplying it by the length of the bar, which is 1. What we're going to type in here real quick, actually, is an if statement, because we're not going to run this. We're just setting this up for future at this point. If enemy health is less than, oh, not starting health. If enemy health is less than enemy starting health, then we're going to do this code. Otherwise, if we're gaining actually, we're going to have to deal with this in a different way. Because we don't want, it can't come before and it can't stop. So what we need to do is we need to make our health change. And then we're going to do a quick if statement real quick. If enemy health is greater than 5. We're just going to set enemy health back to 5. Right, so we want to make sure that our health doesn't go beyond 5, unless you have that as a set for your player. But we want to make sure, in this case, that 5 is the max hit points it can ever have. So if there was a way that it was to heal, and it was already at 5 and somehow healed to 6, that would be overhealing, which would do nothing, so we just set that back to 5. And then we go through, make our changes as needed, and then we're going to do an RT, so right, that's our rectangle transform that we're playing with, and we want its size delta. This is going to have its length in there, both lengths actually, so length and height, or width and height, like you can see in the order, and that's actually the order of this. And so we're going to say that that is equal to a new vector 2. Once in 2 dimensions, we don't have 3, and that's going to be our current health bar length and our current value of the height. We could just set it to 0.3, but this will make it this code easily to use on other ones. Perfect. So that's going to change our size, right? So all we need to do technically is convert a couple things, and we can or connect a couple things and be there. But we're going to real quick finish this off. We're going to remove the update. We don't need it. This is only going to happen when we call this public void change health. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to do a private void, and we're going to do it image health color. So what we're doing with this is we're going to check and see if we need to change our values. And so what we'll do is if current, which is just our enemy health, which is our current health, is greater than 4. This way we're planning for if we ever increase. If it turns out greater than 4, we're going to do just like we did before. So I'm just going to copy from above the health bar image, component image, color. We're going to set that to green. Else, if enemy health is, let's see, that's 4 and 5 are green. Let's do, not a lot of numbers in this. We're going to just set 3. So if enemy health equals 3, we're going to, once again, I'm just going to paste that in there, and we're going to just change green to yellow. And then else, really helps get your fingers on the right keys. Else, we're just going to change this to red. So you could have your yellow be a little bit longer. We could have had it just red on a 1. Let's actually do that. Let's switch that real quick. Just what we want to make sure with this is that we're saying enemy health is, we could do this in 2 different ways. We could have enemy health is equal to 3, or enemy health is equal to 2, right? We could handle it that way. We could say that enemy health is less than 4 and greater than 1, right? Either way, it gets us in that. We want to make sure that we bookend this as we go through, especially if other colors in there as well. You want to make sure that you're not actually creating a false positive by just doing fully nested just greater than. So you want to really set this off. We'll just leave it at this. This will be fine. So then red will just be on when we have 1 health point left. Okay, so that sets up our enemy health controller. We're going to drag this over the side for a minute. I will bring it back in a moment. We are going to need to go to our bullet collider. So I'm opening our bullet collider. I'm going to bring this code back. Right, so now what we've done before is, if it's on target, if the tag is target, which is what we're hitting and putting this on, we just have it straight out destroying it, which we don't want to do at this time. And so what we're going to do is we are going to instead do collision dot collider dot game object dot get component, and this component is going to be the enemy health controller, and we're going to be doing the change health, and we're going to be sending, remember this needs a integer, and we're going to be sending it a -1. So every time that we shoot this target, it's going to have a -1. And so what we're going to want to do actually, because now we've taken away that we just destroy it. And so what we can do with this, couple different things. We'll come back to the enemy health controller. We're going to handle it here because this is obviously going to be tracking it for each of the enemies. It's going to be on each enemy, so it can be run independently here. We could have this in an update so that it's just constantly running and checking to see if health ever equals 0, and if it does, then just delete this, right? Destroy it. But what we're going to do actually is I'm going to tie it into our image health color. Actually, let's do it this way, because it doesn't make sense really to put it in image health color. You could put it in image health color just by doing an else, change this to an else if, enemy health equals 1, and then do a final one, else if enemy health equals 0, destroy. But we're going to actually have this, oh, and we even forgot, we need to come in here on the bottom of change health, we're going to change, or add the image health color. We need to run that, obviously. And then we're going to do one more private void. I'm going to treat this kind of as a boolean is dead. And we'll just, at the end of when it changes health, we'll run is dead to check and see if it's dead, and if it is dead, then we go ahead and remove it. So is dead, we're going to have if enemy health equals 0, right? We don't have any more health. We are going to destroy GIMM object. Okay, so that's going to now check and make sure that we're at 0 health and destroy it, and we run it on whenever we take damage is when we're going to run it. Rather than running this in an update, which is going to constantly be making it run and check, we don't need to do that. We know that the only time that we would hit 0 health is during a change health moment. And so we're just going to run it there and check and see real quick if it's at 0, and if it is, then it dies. Otherwise, it's not going to do anything. Okay, so let me pull that aside. Once again, we have our health bar already. We want to there we go. We have, it's on military target. That's where it is. So our health bar image, we're just going to drag this in here. We're going to save. What we're going to do actually real quick here. So this would work, right? In this situation, we have one target. That's all it is. But this doesn't really work very well for us if we're going to be spawning enemies throughout. Like if this dies and it respawns, right? Then we have this enemy health bar that we're going to have to just constantly add. So let's go ahead and drag the enemy health canvas to our military target. And so now we could create this if we were going to. We could create this as a prefab. To handle all of those things, right? And we've got this set up here, so it's going to destroy the target, which then also means it's going to destroy the canvas. We don't have to type any additional commands in for that. And then if we spawned another military target, right, this is going to spawn in with it. Once again, as long as we set this up as a prefab like this. So I think this is in our best interest. So let's go ahead. I'm going to hit save. Make sure that we've got our event camera here, which we have. Everything looks right. So let's go ahead and run this and see how we did. So immediately this should turn green when play hits. And there it is. Boom. We got one. First one, check, right? We've set that up. We're going to go up here and grab our gun. And now, oh, the score is wrong. We're going to have to deal with that in a minute. We're going to shoot this. Oh, and that took everything away. All right. So there's an error there. But I'm going to guess that our health is right. Yep, so that's at least being correct. Let's just make sure that it actually destroys. Perfect. Okay. So we want. There's some error here in our thing, and my bet is it's tied to integer versus float. So let's go ahead and change these from ints to float. So enemy health is a float. We'll set it to 5F just to make it 100% clear. We'll change our starting health to a float. Sometimes what will end up happening, I found this, and I feel like it should kick an error for this, but it never does. Combining floats and integers, it tends to then count it then always as an integer value when you're doing multiplication or any kind of multiplication division with that, division for the most part. And so it just took it to 0 for that, I believe. So let's see if that ends up fixing it just by doing that. We actually need to pass this in as a float now because that is what's coming in on our change health. We'll make sure the bullet collider -1, we'll just put an F in front of it. All right, and then I'm just going to leave the scoring as it is. Actually, we'll dive into the scoring in a minute. Actually, I probably will just tell you what. No, I'll show you. It's fine. Let's go ahead. Totally confused. We're good. Let's go ahead and try this again. This should be the fix, and if not, then we're going to dig a little deeper. There we go. Although we are moved right into red, which is not. So our colors are a little wacky doodle. Let's see what we can do on that. Let's go ahead and go back to our script. Enemy health control. Less than 4, greater than 1. It should be there. Oh, this should be greater than 3. That's why that bumped there. Right, so this is where sometimes these numbers take a little bit to dial in. So I should have done greater than or equal to 4, which we can just switch that actually. Greater than or equal to 4. So then this is saying definitely less than 4, greater than 1, and then let's see if that does it. That should do it. This is why testing is so important, to make sure that you're getting everything as it should be. All right, let's grab the gun. There we go. Still green. Perfect. We should move to yellow. Perfect. One more shot. Yellow. Last shot. Red. And destroy on that. Perfect. Okay. That is working as we would expect. So, what we want to do now real quick is in our... Which one do we want this as a part of? So bullet collider, and then I believe player control is where we're sending this to. Yeah, player controller. Okay. So player controller, we want to go ahead and change shooting score increased. So enemy health controller needs to on is dead. This is where we're going to do game object dot find player dot get component player controller dot increase shooting score increased. All right, so now where we had bullet collider here increasing the score, we're not actually going to increase our score until we actually kill it. So we can actually go ahead. I'm gonna just comment this out for a moment before we delete it, because I might just rework it. And so then in our player controller, we don't care about our score. We want our we're going to need to create another variable for current percentage, we're going to do a private float shots hit. And the reason we're going to do this is because we want to do our hit percentage based off of the number of shots that have hit, the shots that have been fired, and the shots that have hit. Because if we just have it with score, then it's going to then be off, right? Because it's going to take 5 hits to kill it. We want to actually track the percentage based on shots hit. So what we're going to do is on shoot score increase, we're going to leave that, but we're not going to update our percentage. We're going to create another public void update. We're just going to call this update shooting percentage, which will be fine in a minute. Oh wait, we already have that. Okay, so we don't want update shooting percentage to go then. We're going to, we don't want score. This is our debug log. We're not worried about that. We're passing in okay, we're going to try this. I think this will work. We're going to actually go ahead and remove those because we don't really need them. And these debugs we know work, so they can just go away. And we're going to remove this, right? So the shooting score is not going to matter anymore. The shooting score increase is only going to happen when we kill something. That's perfectly fine. So what we want actually in the update shooting percentage, this is going to get called now from our bullet collider. So we're just going to, we're going to undo this because it's going to the same thing. And we want to make sure that this is actually public in our update shooting percentage so that we can access it here from our bullet collider. So now this should be update shooting percentage, which that's perfect now. And so with that, every time we hit, we're going to set our new variable shots hit plus equals 1. Just make that an F, just to make it 100% clear it's a float. And so for this, we're going to do shots hit divided by fired shots. Shots fired. So what that's going to do, it's not going to, so it's going to update our score when we kill something by 1. So that's our middle 0. And then our shooting percentage is going to be purely based off of how many shots actually hit the target versus miss, how many shots just miss the target. So this should fix what we're doing. Let's just double check it. All right, since we've got an error, I'm going to just check that real quick. Since we got a lot of errors, let's check that. Trying to read input. We don't have that, so we're going to actually just delete our event system again. We don't need to have it. It's not required. It's trying to do some stuff that we just aren't using. So we're going to remove that, That gets rid of our errors. Now we've got our gun. We know, so we're gonna miss a first shot. So this should now, if I hit, should give us a 50%, which is great. We still haven't killed it yet, which is reflected in that. Our hitting percentage is going up as we would expect it to. And this final one should give us, there we go. All right, so what we have now is it's keeping track of the bullets, now how many enemies we're actually killing, and what our percentage of shots hits to shots fired is. All right, so there we go. That is how to set up your enemy health bar and health tracking, and switching this up to now something that's going to take multiple hits to kill versus just a single shot to kill. So hopefully this will be helpful for all your games that you want to be creating enemies with multiple hits. Oh, one last thing. I almost forgot, right? That was the other thing we needed. Let me show you what I forgot. And then we're almost done. And then I remembered the one last thing. All right, as you can see, that health bar, really hard to see when you're at the side of it, right? So let's fix that real quick. And so all we're gonna do is come back in to our code for enemy health control. And this is where we actually are going to use an update on this because we want to have this look at the player. And so what we're going to do, we're going to put in a serialized, we're going to handle it this way. Let's do it here. Private game object, call it player. And we'll set it here in our start, so that way if we spawn these, they'll automatically go. Player equals game object dot find player. And now we'll go ahead and throw in, we'll throw our update at the bottom. Why not? Update. And we're going to do a vector3. Vector3, what do we call this, our look vector. And we're going to create a new actually, I think we can just do this as well. Let me just transform dot look at player dot transform dot position. So this is, there's a couple different ways. The way I was doing it before actually allows it to rotate on all three of the axes, which is definitely fine. It depends upon your game, right? If you want it to, the health bar to only rotate onto the X and Y, then you would need to create your own vector, which was basically doing, so you can call it like a vector3 look vector, which is equal to a vector3 player transform position dot X, and then a 0 for Y, and then player dot transform position dot Z, and then put that in here as transform dot look vector. For this one, we're on one just flat playground for this, so this will be perfectly fine. Let's double check and make sure it works. We're going to hit play. And now, that was my fear. We're going to, yep, that's making the whole thing go. Okay, so what we want, that's going to have the whole thing look at us, and that is something we don't want. So let us go ahead and remove this. Take that out of there. Save. We're going to come back to our scripts. We're going to do a Another C# script. Let's call it health bar look. Wait for it to load this time. All right, and all we're gonna do on this is we're gonna call for the player. So private game object player in our start player equals game object dot find player like we've done before. And let's just go ahead in this one, have it just look on that single plane. I think it just looks a little nicer, a little cleaner. So we're just going to set up a vector 3. Look vector. Actually, yeah, it's fine. Look vector equals new vector 3 player dot transform position dot x 0, so that we're not pivoting in that direction, and then player dot transform position z, and then transform look vector. Okay, and then we're going to throw this, save it, and then we're just going to throw this actually onto our health bar itself. Health bar look controller, save it. Let's see if that'll do what I should do. All right. That flipped us, which I think is okay. You can see it actually moving now, but we are getting a weird. All right, so it's off to the side. Let's see if we can fix that. We want. It's already doing the 3. Let's just see if it's transform. Look at player transform position. Is that going to still throw it off into a weird direction? Let's see if that's still the case. That is still the case. All right, hold on. Let's see. Okay, I think I remember the problem. What we actually don't want it is on the image. We want it on the canvas. So let's go ahead and remove the component here from our health bar, and we'll just drag it here onto our canvas itself. So that should move the whole canvas, not the image. I think that's where the problem lied with that. So let's hit play and verify that's right. Yes, okay, perfect. So now we've got it where it is there. I'm just going to let that guy. I've got a different script. It's fine. It's going to shoot at me probably. But you can see here that image is now facing us. So now if we can pull off a shot, if we are able to hit it from this very oblique side, right, it still does it, but we get to see the health bar as it goes. Okay, that does it for this one. Now we have all the pieces there. Hope you found this helpful, and other videos will be coming out shortly. See you soon.